Hello everyone, this is Heart of Cards. It's been a while since I posted on this channel, and I thought I might try and reignite it, so here we go. Uh, to reignite my channel, we are going to be doing a deck profile of my current favorite deck in the January, February 2022 banlist format. Be the February 2022 format uh, post-ban list. Numerons. I enjoyed this before the ban list came out, and nothing got hit. If anything, it got a mild power boost with the triple Raigekis. Uh, so, let's go into the deck profile. First, we have 3 hand traps. Uh, these can be your choice. I recommend Ghost Spell, Ash Blossom, or Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is definitely the budget option, but Ash and Ghost Spell are definitely probably the better two. Next we have the one Pankratops, because it's just good removal, and it removes itself, so it gets out of the way of your Numeron calling. The Droll and Lockbird is just, I love how much of a lockout card it is for most decks. Godarla, just because I know bird ups have fallen or have kind of fallen because of Simorg being hit and Recital being hit, uh, but Godarla is the only kaiju you can use under Barrier Statue of the Wind, and that's the main reason why I want to run it at 3. We have the one Lava Golem just for the double removal if needed. Uh, I just play it at 1 because sometimes it can be a brick because it can get in the way of the normal summon of Planet Pathfinder. Numeron Wall, one of the best cards in the deck, because as a quick effect, as long as you control no cards except a Numeron Wall or walls, uh, you can just send this card from the hand or field to the graveyard, and then activate a Numeron Network directly from your hand or deck. Numeron Network is the main card of the archetype, and it has a very... The whole archetype is very straightforward, but it's, in my opinion, done very well. And also, it has a secondary effect that I didn't realize the first time I had my hands on this card. And its secondary effect is basically if you take damage from a battle, you can special summon it from your hand and then end the battle phase after the damage step. It's a mini battle fader basically, and it has definitely helped me survive uh, a couple of games. Uh, Planet Pathfinder, obviously just for more field spell searching, since Numeron Network is a field spell and is the main card of the archetype, and it removes itself, so it's out of the way of Numeron calling. Called by, just a good quick play spell, same with Forbidden Chalice, I love this card. Uh, One of the best spells in the game right now. Limiter removal, just for just to quickly access that OTK strategy that the whole deck kind of centers around, since this is a going second deck, or since this is the going second variant of the deck. Memories of Hope. I love that they made. I love that they even made this card. It's basically just a free draw 4 for the deck. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. Uh, and I can kind of see why it's semi-limited in Master Duel, but I also kind of don't, because it doesn't really impact all too much. Numeron Calling, obviously one of the other major components of the deck. It just lets you summon one of each of the gates from your extra deck. Numeron Network, as long as it's in the field zone, it can just send a Numeron normal spell card that, as long as it meets the activation conditions from your deck to the graveyard, and then this effect becomes that card's effect. And also, on top of that, every Numeron Xyz monster you control can activate its effects without detaching a material. Which is very good because all the Numerons just end up summoning themselves with no materials on them. 1 for 1, just to get out the Numeron wall in sticky situations. the triple Raigeki, just because it's unlimited now, so might as well play it at 3. Terraforming, just to get the field spell easier, and the double Twin Twisters, just because we want that spell trap removal for going second. In the side deck, we got the triple Lancia, triple Anti-Spell Fragrance. People still underrate this trap card sometimes, and I absolutely adore it. Goes in match in Rivalry of the Warlords, since all of your extra deck monsters are both machine and light, and you don't really need to summon anything outside of them. And then, I mean, if you're under Rivalry, you can just go into, I believe... Is that how that works? Yeah. So if you're under Rivalry, you go into Megaclops. If you're under Gozen, you just go into Avermax, and you can, or Underworld Goddess, and you kind of just win. And then we also have the triple summon limit. Just because Numeron Calling does not count as 4 summons, it counts as 1. And the whole idea of Numeron Calling limits you to 2 summons anyways, being the 4 that you summon right off the bat, and then 1 other special summon after that. Which, in the theme of the archetype, most of the time it'd be C1 Sunya, but we aren't running that. Next we have 3 of each of the gates, because they are just the best cards in the deck. Very, very powerful OTK tools, and if you want to, you can just use them as link materials if you didn't OTK, or if you're going first. Which is what the whole side deck is based around. If you end up winning round 1 by going second, and you know your opponent's going to force you to go first, just side out and be ready. And since you know what you're playing into, you know what to side out. And then, obviously, Megaclops. Megaclops is such a good boss monster. People don't really play Xyz monsters right now. It's unaffected by other monsters except those of Xyz, and cannot be destroyed by battle except with an Xyz monster. The only easy card that can out this right now is Zeus, and it's still a pretty rare card to find, seeing as it's so expensive. And there's not many decks right now that are able to play it, because stuff like Invoked and Sword Souls don't really go into Xyz monsters. Avermax is another good option for a boss monster, but most of the time you only do it either if you have nothing else, or if you know your opponent can out Megaclops. And then Underworld Goddess at the Closed World. If you end up failing at OTKing and your opponent has something very problematic on the board, and you already like Kaiju'd, or if you Lava Golemed and you need to remove something else, maybe that one problematic card that you couldn't get rid of, you can just link it away with Underworld Goddess. That is the deck profile. Let's run over to the playtesting. Okay, so into the playtesting phase. Got a pretty good opening hand. Unfortunately, we don't see a copy of the Field Spell or a Numeron Wall, but we do have the Planet Pathfinder just in case. This is a very good going second hand. If you just open the duel, or let's say going second, and got limiter removal, that makes it 100 times better. We got the Planet Pathfinder to just normal summon and send to grave, and then you can just search out the Field Spell from your deck with ease. Probably Forbidden Chalice just to get rid of any pesky effects. Probably Kaiju as well. If you... I can't to attack now. Activating Field Spell. The Field Spell lets you send the Calling. And then the Calling lets you summon the 4. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. Activating the Memory of Hope just to draw 4. Unfortunately, Memories of Hope is a hard once per turn, so I can't just draw another 8 here. That'd be way too powerful, and this card would be banned way too quickly. We do have the Numeron wall just in case for next turn. We have the Forbidden Chalice that we could probably set, or use during the battle phase if they have any other battle phase effects that we don't want. But in the battle phase, we would just attack with all 4, and then probably on any of them that may be able to destroy something and we want to destroy it faster, we just limit our removal. And that is going second. Now going first, still just as good as my hand. We would start off with a normal summon of Planet Pathfinder. Send it to grave. Search out a field spell. Let's say they just ash it, which is a pretty simple thing to do. Lucky for us, we already have it in hand. And we don't even need to use the effect to send a Numeron spell to the grave, because we just have Calling it, so we're just going to do that, just to avoid another Ash or anything else that could do that, even though it does send to grave for cost. Then we're just going to summon the 4 back. That is the wrong one. Go back to the extra deck. Febuary, yeah. And then we're just going to Memory of Hope. Draw another 4. Refreshing our hand. And then just probably setting 2. If you want, you can set the limiter removal, but it all depends on what extra deck monster you're planning to go into. In this case, I would go into the Megaclops, but if you already know what you should only go into the Megaclops if you know your opponent cannot out it, or if you don't really have any other options. But if you know your opponent can out it, then probably just go into the Avermax, just so you can get the shuffle back if they do out the Avermax. And for a little Master Duel thing, because I play this in Master Duel as well, I highly recommend playing Kaiser Coliseum. It's a insane continuous spell that basically says, as your opponent cannot control more monsters than you do, but you have no restrictions on how many monsters you can control. So basically, if you just summon the 4 on your first turn, and then link into a Megaclops or a Mechanite Avermax, then your opponent can only control 1 monster at a time, and they have to properly find a monster through 1 monster to out either Megaclops or Avermax, which is very difficult for most decks. So yeah, that is my 2022 February Numeron deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have as much fun with this deck as I normally do. It's definitely not any competitive strategies, but it is one of my favorite rogue decks that I have ever played. My next profile might be on the Numeronious side of this deck, or it may be on Speedroids. So maybe I will choose one of those based on the comments. So, hope to see you all later.